we are going to be talking on this segment who should go first overall in the NBA draft. Now we don't know who's going to be the number one, who's going to be the team that gets the number one pick. But we do have, just go down the list real quick. De'Aaron Fox from Kentucky, Jayson Tatum from Duke, Lonzo Ball from UCLA, Josh Jackson from Kansas, and Markelle Fultz from Washington. Cody, who do you have going number one now?
Okay, who I have going number one is honestly probably going to depend on who gets, obviously number one. It's going to play in a factor, and the reason why I say that is because we actually just talked about this a second ago. Boston's got the highest percentage of getting the number one pick because the Nets traded away their rights for their first round pick in this draft a couple of years ago. And then you're, right behind them is Phoenix with almost 20% chance of getting the number one pick, followed by the Lakers with 15%. So it's definitely going to be between those three. And for any Lakers fans like us out there who want to know is if we don't get in the top three, we surrender our pick to Philadelphia. So in other words, if we get 4 or higher, we give that Philadelphia gets that pick. We have to get 3 or better in order to keep our pick. So fingers crossed for at least 3. But anyways, I would probably say, looking at all these and overall from the tournament, I'm going to say that, my opinion, it'll probably be Fultz, just because he's a guard with some good size, can shoot the ball really well. He actually did really good as far as his overall freshman year with 23 points, about 6 rebounds, and about 6 assists averaged out. And that's very, very good. He's got a high motor. He's a good range shooter. I really like him. And I would probably even take De'Aaron Fox. Like, that'd probably be 1A and 1B for me, De'Aaron Fox. I don't say Ball just because the game between Kentucky really turned me off to how competitive he is, just because we already knew he had 1 foot out the door and he didn't just give his all, where Fox basically showed him up. So yeah, granted, both of those, Fox and Fultz, are undersized, but they've got really high motors. They're going to compete no matter what, and they're going to give you everything. And with Ball, you just don't know if he's in it competitively, free-spirited, or if he's just he'll check out when he doesn't feel like he wants to play anymore, kind of thing. That's just my opinion, but I would definitely go with either Fultz or Fox first.
Okay. For me, it's tough. Being a Lakers fan, you kind of obviously see who you would like. From what I hear from draft experts, NBA experts, and all that, Markelle Fultz is going to be the overall number one pick. That obviously is going to depend on if the Lakers get the number one pick, in my opinion. If the Lakers get the number one pick, I feel like they're going to go after Lonzo Ball.
Yeah.
He's already said he wants to be a Laker. A lot of the fans in LA love him, so he would be a great fit in there. I feel like Magic Johnson and that whole organization is going to basically go off of what the fans want. In a top 3 pick, they're going to want to do that. Markelle Fultz, like you said, he's the best shooter in this draft. He's the best shooter in this draft. You cannot tell me otherwise. Honestly, I don't care if you bring up a ton of stats. Markelle Fultz, from what I've seen, has the best shot in the game.
You're right.
Coming into the draft, I should say. My issue with him is he was used to being on a team that relied on him to do everything. And when you run into a kid like that, and especially with the Lakers, where they just got rid of a guy, Kobe Bryant, who did that. He tried to put the team on his shoulder every single time, and Kobe was great. I'm not smashing him or anything, but he took a lot of stupid. I'd watch a Laker game every time and watch Kobe Bryant take a shot. I'm like, what are you doing? Come on, man. And to me, I don't want that.
Yeah.
As a fan, as a Laker fan, I don't want that.
Right.
Because we've been through that, we've done that, we're building a good team. I feel like this team is getting better and better each year.
Right.
I like Julius Randle, I like Brandon Ingram, and I like D'Angelo Russell, and I like Clarkson.
Right.
So, you add Fultz to that, I think that gets messed up, especially because D'Angelo Russell is starting to become that guy who's going to shoot more than pass.
Right.
And he's going to probably be switch to shooting guard.
Yeah.
So with Fultz, I wouldn't want him. Honestly, Josh Jackson, he's decent. I'm not really thrilled about him. I think he's going to have a lot of work to do.
Yeah.
Lonzo Ball, I actually do like. He is a guy who likes to create opportunities for his teammates.
Mm-hmm.
He really is not a ball hog, which, to be fair, judging by off his dad, I'm really surprised that he's not.
Yeah.
Because dad talks him up so much. So kudos to him for even with all that controversy, he kept to his game.
Mm-hmm. You're
right though. In the game against Kentucky, he didn't show up.
Right.
He didn't care, and that is a big concern. It's a very big concern. But you could also make the argument of he didn't care because he wants to be in the NBA. Great, but he left his teammates to hang out and dry.
Right.
You really want that on your team?
Right. And here's my thing though. Like, okay, let's say fine, he gets drafted by the Lakers. And let's say the Lakers do really well, so well that they make, let's say, the 8th seed next year, hypothetically, with Ball on the team. Honestly, probably wouldn't be out of the question. Who knows what we're doing in free agency? I know that Magic Johnson and RP, that's what Kobe's nickname for the new GM is. But anyways, I know that those two are basically putting their heads together to try to get this team on a new foundation. They've got new draft picks. They're going to get rid of a lot of bad contracts, hopefully, and clear up some space. But even if Ball gets on the team, and like you said, Russell's now more shoot than pass, he'll probably slide to the 2, which he is, he'd be a good 2 guard, honestly. And then you've got Ball that's not afraid to distribute the ball. Here's where I would be concerned. When the Lakers are 8th seed, not that well, and they go against, Golden State or the Spurs, a top team in the West, obviously. Yeah. And they get swept. And in game 4, when obviously you still want to compete really hard, how hard is he going to compete? Or is he just going to check out because there's going to be next season, And I get it, in the NBA you got the highest competition, but I don't have that worry when it comes to Fox. I don't think he'll ever just say, whatever. No. Fox reminds me a little bit of Russell Westbrook. Not as aggressive, but that competitiveness where, he's not going to let you show him up. And we saw that in the game against UCLA, against Ball, ironically, when he dropped 39 points on him. He wasn't going to be outplayed. I mean, if Ball was going to compete, that's fine. But Fox wasn't going to let you have a better game. He was going to make sure that you knew who he was. And with Fultz, too, you've got to also know where to place him. Like, the only places that I know that would really need a point guard would be like the Lakers, but again, like the whole Kobe thing. I'm not quite concerned with him shooting the ball more so than anybody else, just because I do see here that he has about 6 assists a game, so that does mean he can distribute the ball, so that's not too bad. But he is undersized. I'd like to see a taller point guard, like Ball, who can see the floor and who's got good presence. I just want to make sure that he's got that, killer instinct that, when he gets fired up to compete, not just like, when someone steps up to him, he's like, no, man, we're cool, and just kind of backs off. I want someone aggressive.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I agree with you. With Fultz, like you said, he's kind of an undersized point guard. With the Lakers, if you added him into the lineup, you'd basically have to go small ball.
Yep.
And they're already really small. Julius Randle is 6'9".
Yeah.
And you'd have to put him at the center position if you were going to start everyone who you wanted to start. I mean, you have Julius Randle. You could probably make a case that you could put Zubac in there. He's starting to get a little bit better, but then you'd have Julius Randle, Brandon Ingram. Then you probably have to put man, words are really hard for me today. D'Angelo Russell. I was going to say DeMarcus.
Oh no, long one.
D'Angelo Russell, and then you have Fultz, and then you have Clarkson as the rotator guy, or 6th man. And that's really small. Russell at the 2, and then Fultz at 1. That's really small right there. Obviously Ingram, you get taller, but then Randall. It's a messed up lineup. Almost.
Yeah, it'll be very interesting. I'm actually curious to see where all these go because honestly, like the top 4 or 5 people that have a chance at the number 1 is Boston, LA, Knicks. You've got also Phoenix, and I think who's the other team that you have? I can't remember who the 5th one is. But anyways, out of those 4, they're really not in need of a desperate point guard per se because, for example, Phoenix has Eric Bledsoe. I think he's one of the best point guards out there. And even if you wanted to get Bledsoe out of there because maybe he's getting older and you want some a new face in there, he'd probably go really well with Booker, who is a very good scorer. you know, and that might be complimentary. And then the Knicks, they probably would be the best fit for Fultz. Or, you know, if they got all the way up to number 2, I can see Ball going number 2 to the Knicks, because they would love to have someone as, and funny to say, as high profile as Ball back in a New York market. Like, granted, yeah, he wants to stay in LA because his family is here, but can you imagine if he was in New York? All the question, the pressure that he'd get from the media. I mean, he would have a somewhat of a decent team, because essentially you're putting him in instead of Rose, because Rose is out. And then you have Carmelo maybe for a few more years. And then you've got, who's the player for the Knicks, the tall one from...
Porzingis?
Porzingis.
Oh.
Yeah. So that'd be a kind of interesting, you know, 3-player combination. But... you know, who knows what's going to happen? It all just kind of depends on who gets placed where in the lottery, honestly. So,
I did want to bring up Jayson Tatum. I think is very interesting.
Mm-hmm.
He played a lot. Honestly, when you sent me the note of him, well, actually, I sent it. Sorry. When I looked up his height is 6'8", I was like, oh man, that's like 6'10".
Oh, okay.
He plays bigger than what he looks like.
Well, he's very aggressive.
And he could play both power forwards. And then you can make a case for having, if the Lakers drafted him, and I'm just going based on the Lakers,
right?
Hopefully having a top pick. But you could make a case for Randall at the center and Tatum at the power forward, and you're okay with that because Tatum plays bigger than what he is.
Right.
You could even swap those guys and make a case for it.
The only thing you would have an issue with, though, is keeping up with size on the defensive side. However, on the offense, you would probably be spreading them out so wide that you would have any open shot you wanted, and then especially if you got, you know, the speed guards in there like Clarkson and Russell, they can shoot it and drive just about anywhere. And then with Tatum, he's smaller for his size, but he plays very big, so he would be very aggressive. That'd be a very good combination. I would just get worried more so with like teams, like let's say the Pelicans keep the Cousins and AD lineup. We'd have a really hard time getting our rebounds and, you know, stopping them because they're obviously taller than our 4 and our 5.
All right, what do you think about this? Sorry, I don't mean to cut you off, but this just right when you said the Cousins and thing. What if, because there's been a lot of speculation, obviously, around DeMarcus Cousins coming to LA, Lakers trying to get him. What if they got him and you draft Tatum?
Oh. Huh.
So then you could go your small ball with Tatum. He'd have to come off the bench.
Okay.
And I think that would be smart because here's the thing with all these guys that we have on here, they're all freshmen.
Right.
So they gotta learn the game. If D'Angelo Russell didn't teach you guys anything, know this: he's still learning the game. If he were still in college, he would have been a senior this year. So that means these guys are still learning. Brandon Ingram, he's still learning. If you have Jayson Tatum, he's still learning. You can have him come off the bench. You have DeMarcus Cousins at the center. You have Julius Randle at power forward. And you have Ingram is going to start because ever since he got started or put it in the starting lineup, he has done a lot better.
Yeah,
actually,
he has improved a lot,
which is honestly amazing because he wasn't very good coming off the bench. They put him in the starting lineup and he did a lot better.
Yeah.
So I mean, that to me is really interesting. And you have Tatum coming off. You feel really good about your team.
Yeah, honestly, before he was traded to Sacramento, Cousins, I would have said no at first because I have a hard time with putting a player on a team that could be very damaging in the sense of like a distraction, attitude problems, hard to control, who's going to put him in check, because he's very aggressive. However, now that he's moved on to the Pelicans, I haven't heard anything bad about how he's been there. I mean, he's put up a lot. He's basically kept his stat line completely the same since with the Pelicans.
Yeah.
You know, and they're really underachieving for the roster that they have, and a bad time when they were in the playoff hunt after the All-Star break. But anyways, you know, I haven't heard anything negative about Cousins other than he's doing really, really well. So right now, if this is the new Cousins where he's got a new attitude and all that stuff, I would say I want him on the Lakers because that's like a obvious improvement now. A big man in the middle, which is what Lakers are always known for, and then you've got, you know, you can do a little bit of small ball, and Cousins isn't so, I don't mean this in like in a body type way, but he's not so heavy. In other words, not planted on the floor where he can't move around. He can be very mobile, not like Shaq, where Shaq basically stood outside the key and then went back inside the key, and you didn't see him go anywhere outside of that.
I don't know. Shaq in his day was actually pretty athletic.
Yeah, I mean he was athletic, but you didn't see him go baseline.
Then Miami Shaq happened.
Yeah.
It wasn't.
So, anyways, I would probably want Cousins on a team then, and if we got Tatum, I think that'd be great because then you've got someone that can either play the 4 or the 3 because I think he'd actually be a really good 3 player. Mm-hmm. And maybe you put Ingram at the 2 at that point, and then you've got 2 big 2 and 3 guards, and then you got a 5. So now you can you've got almost like a hybrid or a 2-way where you've got a tall 2. You got Russell if you want to put him in Clarkson because I think he's about 6'5". So that's still pretty decent. And then you've got Randall in the post. I think that'd be beautiful.
Yeah. Yeah, you know, I mean, with any of these guys, I'm not going to be terribly upset if whoever gets them. You know, Boston gets the number 1 pick. They're not going for a guard.
No,
I don't see them going Jayson Tatum.
No,
I really don't. I mean, maybe Josh Jackson.
Okay.
But even then, I don't know.
I would probably.
I don't see what Boston does with that pick.
If Boston gets number 1. What I think they will do is they'll go Fultz, and it'll be a second option for Isaiah.
So you think backup?
I don't think backup in point guard sense. I think obviously Isaiah is 1 for sure.
Yeah. And
then I think what they'll do to compete small ball wise, and what they'll have to do is they'll have to probably get like a taller 4, or maybe make sure that they have a good, reliable tall 5 maybe. Mm-hmm. I think though that they'll do Fultz and put him at a 2 guard. And then they'll probably interchange, you know, Isaiah and him because they'll both distribute. But honestly, Isaiah is a far better scorer than he is a distributor. And it's almost like you get 2 Isaiahs. One's just slightly taller, not slightly. You've got one that's 5'9", one that's going to be 6'5". So, I mean, it's kind of a big height upgrade. But it's basically you got the identical player. I see Boston more going so with a Tatum, Josh Jackson. I see them going that direction more so than a guard. But
yeah, I think they'd go Josh Jackson. I think they'd go after him because I honestly Jayson Tatum is great and I actually really liked him. He during the whole tournament and towards the end of the season, I was starting to fall in love with that guy. I thought he was great, I don't see him going number 1. I really don't.
Yeah, it's going to be really hard to say. If Boston does get it, that's who I think they would take just because they don't need a guard. And Tatum can be a forward and a guard. They can intertwine them. So that's what I would think.
Sure. All right. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel, Drew Code Sports Talk. Also follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, which is Drew Code Sports Talk as well. Thank you for watching.